accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed.
I'd like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days.
What transpired left Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar in disarray, even though she had assumed she was going to teach Karoline Leavitt on The View. The argument began with a heated discussion over wokeness, but the young press secretary quickly changed the subject when Whoopi attempted to tell Leavitt that women owe everything to the left. Even The View's devoted audience was rendered breathless by Leavitt's simple revelation of their hypocrisy. He was composed, self-assured, and unflinching. Only astonished expressions and feeble attempts to restore control were Whoopi and Joy's only response. Had the viewpoint, which had been suppressing conservatives for years, suddenly found an equal?
From White House intern to the youngest press secretary in history, New Hampshire's Karoline Leavitt is one of the most trusted voices inside Donald Trump's inner.
The name that has the liberal media trembling in their expensive studio chairs is Karoline Leavitt. She became the youngest White House press secretary at the age of just 27. And not by being kind. She is not your normal politically correct, media-trained speaker. She's shrewd, bold, and, above all, knows exactly how to deal with the media. When they attempt to distort the facts, she poses a serious challenge to the popular activity of the mainstream media, which is fabricating tales to suit their own agenda just for that reason.
It appears to be a fierce operator, but she's also 27 and arguably quite glamorous. So of course, the kind and progressive voices at The View reacted to her appointment.
She was raised in New Hampshire, served as Trump's press aide, and rose up the ranks fast, demonstrating that she was more than simply a pretty face in politics. In relation to that, what about Joy Behar's pitiful attempt to minimize her entire career to her appearance? It's embarrassing. The hosts of The View would be praising Karoline and referring to her as the future of women in politics if she were a Democrat. Instead, because she defies authority, people are afraid of her. Joy and Whoopi believed they could frighten her, but they were unprepared for what she brought. Confidence, facts, and a strict no-nonsense policy.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first.
You could almost feel the steam rising from Whoopi Goldberg's ears when Karoline Leavitt brought up the topic of wokeness. She became utterly crazy, behaving as though Leavitt had just insulted her life. Women weren't welcome to the table. Before, Whoopi blasted her with that distinctive tone of, "I know better than you. We put up a fierce fight so you wouldn't have to worry about this." Translation: take a seat and agree with us. You owe us for clearing the path. The quintessential Whoopi, ready to convert every conversation into a lecture.
If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
However, Leavitt wasn't having it. She shot back with pure confidence, not flinching or stammering, explaining that wokeness isn't about empowerment anymore, but about silencing people who don't follow the progressive script. She made it clear that conservative women like her are attacked because they don't follow the rules set by the left, not because they are weak. Let's face it, if Leavitt were a Democrat, Joy would be throwing her a Women in Politics celebration on live television, but instead they panicked because she wouldn't back down.
Disgusting Joy Behar of The View accuses Karoline Leavitt of being hired only because Donald Trump thought she was a 10. Karoline Leavitt actually comes with real job qualifications.
As if Whoopi's breakdown wasn't already embarrassing, Joy Behar intervened to make it much worse, for herself at least. With that characteristic arrogance, she suggested that Karoline Leavitt's success was solely due to her beauty and had nothing to do with her skill, knowledge, or diligence. Yes, you heard correctly. A successful Republican lady was reduced to nothing more than her appearance by the same woman who yells sexism whenever a conservative male dares to speak.
It's a job that was actually tailor-made for someone like me, who likes to just talk.
And has an opinion about,
The hypocrisy could have been sliced with a butter knife since it was that thick. Joy, who enjoys playing the feminist warrior, actually objectified a woman in politics, the same thing she says she opposes. There would have been headlines, indignation, and most likely a full-fledged View section calling for an apology if a Republican had said something similar about a Democrat. However, because Joy was aiming after a Republican, quiet. Just another Reminder that their so-called empowerment is limited to women who repeat their talking points. No accountability, no indignation. The internet went crazy as soon as the episode aired. On social media sites like Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter, everyone was discussing Whoopi and Joy's recent humiliation on national television. The internet was having a great time. In a matter of minutes, memes were all over Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter. It was truly Oscar-worthy material, and some genius even altered the video so that it appeared as though she was spitting green pea soup in the style of The Exorcist. People were unable to determine whether to laugh, cringe, or begin praying and sending thoughts to ABC management. The View could certainly buy a better camera filter if they had $1 for each time they had to repair Whoopi's damage, since this incident will go down in history.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists.
Executives at ABC were going crazy behind the scenes. The newest catastrophe was a complete nightmare, and The View was already losing viewers. It had become into a train wreck of a talk show, with the hosts spending more time spitting, disparaging conservative women, and making hypocritical remarks than engaging in substantive conversation. Advertisers began to perspire. No one wants their company to be linked to a program in which the main presenter actually spits on live television. Conservatives are screamed down rather than discussed, and women are made fun of for their appearance. It was difficult for even the show's most devoted viewers to defend. Executives at ABC were aware of the crisis they were in. At this point, the event was one viral disgrace after another, even if its goal was to encourage discourse. Whether the opinion had gone too far was not the question. It concerned the amount of time ABC could afford to broadcast it before it became an even greater liability.
When you think the shrews of The View couldn't sink any lower, they go and surprise you by mocking a cute little child.
Elon Musk entered the chat and didn't show up just as The View thought things couldn't get much worse. During one of their segments, the host chose to make fun of Musk's kid, XEA12, in a move that startled no one at all. Because making cheap jabs at a youngster is the best course of action when your numbers are declining. Thus, her statement was untrue. A huge error. Musk quickly responded with a scathing tweet that likely had The View's producers running for the panic button. Imagine being so unimportant that in order to stay in style, you have to bully a newborn. This is what happens when TV stops working. During the day, that one must have been painful. The internet exploded in a matter of minutes. People criticized the show's hypocrisy for continuously preaching about respect and kindness, yet having no difficulty making fun of a child for amusement. Musk wasn't only standing up for his son, he was also calling out the viewpoint for what it had become, a complete farce. The question now is not if ABC will take action about The View, but rather how long they can afford to overlook this problem. This time around, the internet isn't putting up with the show's utter collapse. The outcry from Whoopi's spit take, Joy's overt misogyny, and their pitiful attempt to make fun of Elon Musk's youngster is too great to ignore. ABC's choices are becoming increasingly limited. Is Joy or Whoopi being fired? Although it is unlikely, let's face it, at this rate, it has most likely been discussed behind closed doors. I'm sorry, Karoline Leavitt. Ignoring the calls for responsibility is simply making the situation worse. The internet is demanding it. Is the entire program being canceled? That's a concept that more people than ever support. What do you think of this then? What do you think of this then? Tell us in the comments section below.